Today's research environment is constantly changing, which can make our job as research administrators challenging. It is important for us to be educated on the current issues in today's research environment in order to know how we can best support our faculty. This presentation will provide an overview of those current issues and how we as research administrators may need to respond. In 2011 and 2012, the Research Universities Futures Consortium conducted a study led by Dr. Brad Fenwick with the support of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and sponsored by Elsevier. Information for the study was collected from interviews with 25 leading public and private research universities. The results were put together into a report called The Current Health and Future Well-Being of the American Research University. The objective of the study was to identify, raise the level of understanding, and serve as the catalyst for a national discussion to initiate progress in addressing the most significant challenges faced by American research universities today. A quote from the report itself provides justification as to why this study was so critical. There is a need for institutionally based faculty research support systems to provide faculty more time to expand research, reduce the frustration that quells initiative, and invest in the infrastructure that will support competitive opportunities. The information gathered here will be well utilized and will hopefully spur some much needed changes or at least spread awareness of issues that researchers are currently facing. The information collected from the study's interviews were evaluated and recurring areas of concern became apparent, which were organized into topical themes. From these, a list of 5 core findings were developed: hyper-competitive and complexity, compliance and indirect cost recovery, research quality and impact, planning and decision support, and value of the research university. We will discuss each of these findings and talk about how we as research administrators can apply this knowledge in ways to better support our faculty and upper administration teams. The first core finding is that today's research environment is hyper-competitive and complex. Universities are expected to produce research that provides innovative solutions to many complex problems. Unfortunately, due to the scarcity of financial resources, an emerging trend of consolidating academic research into fewer but larger institutions has begun. Competition between universities, nationally and internationally, is at an all-time high. Unfortunately, this results in lower funding success rates for researchers and in turn reduces students' interest in pursuing research careers. While financial resources are decreasing, regulatory requirements are moving in the opposite direction, which only increases the challenge of managing academic research activities. A more efficient and effective way of managing academic research is also crucial. Few institutions have the data and resources about the current and future potential productivity of research programs and faculty to develop a well-informed research strategy. As research administrators, this implies that we need to help our institutions do more with less. We should be prepared for the reality that resources will remain scarce and regulatory requirements will continue to increase. We can apply this strategy by providing a higher level of customer service for our PIs, which could involve, for example, assisting our faculty in finding funding opportunities specifically for their area of expertise. Review the funding opportunities that filter through your office and forward RFAs to specific faculty whose area of interest is mentioned in the RFA. It might be necessary for research administrators to take on the majority of the administrative burden of proposal development so that faculty can focus on writing the science of their proposals. This may mean reviewing guidelines so that faculty don't have to, and providing them with a Cliff Notes version of what you need from them in order to put the proposal package together. In addition, though it is the faculty's responsibility to know what they are agreeing to when entering a sponsored research agreement, due to the rising regulatory requirements, out of due diligence, we should be their second set of eyes and ears and bring to their attention any regulations that faculty need to be particularly aware of. Those of us who have been in research administration long enough know just how much reporting, accountability, and compliance requirements have increased. This has become a major source of frustration for our researchers by taking time away from their ability to do what they do best. Time away from science is not the only burden of compliance. As Benjamin Franklin once said, time is money. The costs of research compliance and reporting requirements have increased, while at the same time the government has capped the amount of overhead recovery associated with the administrative costs. Negotiating an F&A rate agreement is a tedious process that requires a significant amount of time and effort. Data must be collected and developed to justify the overhead rate during negotiations. Unfortunately, despite our hard work, due to government caps, universities rarely receive the rate requested. The report quotes, "Academic research would be more successful if F&A returns truly mirrored the cost of conducting research. When such costs cannot be fully recovered, the research must be subsidized through other means, which eventually increases the cost of other areas in the institution." What can we do to help? We can help reduce the amount of time faculty spend on administrative tasks by closely managing the financial aspects of their awards while providing faculty with key decision-making information. An example of this would be by providing faculty with monthly reports that show budget balances and transaction details and drawing their attention to any potential issues. We can also educate our faculty about indirect costs. Explain what indirect costs are and how your F&A rate is determined. Make it clear that F&A is not a markup or fee, it's a cost of doing research and is essentially a reimbursement of what's already been invested. Inform them that the current negotiated rate does not cover all of the university's overhead costs, which is why it's so important to recover as much as we can. Also, when working with faculty on sponsored project budgets, limit cost sharing. When negotiating an F&A rate agreement, the total expenditure spent on research will be considered. Cost sharing reduces this total, since cost sharing means that the university is bearing that cost, not the sponsored project. In order to receive the highest negotiated F&A rate possible, we must educate our faculty how cost sharing negatively impacts the university. The third core finding addressed research quality and impact. As we mentioned earlier, universities are expected to produce research that develop innovative solutions to problems. Only high-quality research will be considered innovative, but how do we determine the quality of our research without a way to measure it? Standard performance metrics are needed to provide information about the research being conducted on our campuses. Developing these metrics will require effective and accurate collection of information in order to create an analysis of an institution's research impact. This analysis would indicate a university's current and future research strengths, as well as outline their areas of research. Our institution's successes in research are often represented locally, but due to a lack of uniform standards, comparative data between other universities is of little value. In addition, there needs to be a shift towards quality rather than quantity. Current ranking systems use both public and self-reported data and tend to reward size over impact. Research rankings play a large role in a university's reputation, which in turn can attract faculty, postdocs, students, and sponsors. We as research administrators can respond to this issue by providing effective and accurate management of research award data. This responsibility may become, or for some already has become, an important part of our jobs. Collaboration is needed between institutions to develop meaningful research performance metrics, which could require a concerted effort similar to that which occurred with the Federal Demonstration Partnership. Some examples of useful tracking metrics are faculty publications, including the ranking of those publications, outcomes of collaborative research and training programs, sustainability of funding, and type of funding received. It is also important to consider the success of faculty's failures. In other words, if a proposal wasn't funded, how close was it to being funded? Did they resubmit the proposal? Is the PI making progress towards becoming fundable? It is also valuable to consider how effective PIs are as a collaborator. We should be encouraging faculty to collaborate with other universities, especially if there's a collaboration that could strengthen the quality and in turn the fundability of the project. Lastly, urge faculty to submit their proposals to their peers prior to submitting to departmental administrators and central administration for approval, so that feedback can be gathered to improve the proposal. The next core finding was planning and decision support. Our upper administrative teams need insightful information in order to make strategic decisions about our institution's research mission. This requires gathering and managing information about our institution's research. This would also make it possible to report research performance to key stakeholders, such as higher administration, sponsors, and boards. The information systems many universities currently use are often self-made and have not evolved in response to the needs of today's research environment. Strategic decision-making requires transparent, accurate, and credible reporting of the research a university is conducting. Planning and decision support is another area where standardization of research performance data is needed so that institutions can objectively compare their research strengths and weaknesses with their peers. Current ranking systems are not considered credible or valid because they do not account for differences in how universities are structured or differences in how elements of research data are defined between institutions. This results in little reward or recognition for impactful research, considering a university's available resources. Research administrators could help remedy this issue by collaborating with other institutions to find a way to standardize data reporting so that institutional leadership has credible and valid research performance data which they can use to make decisions. Ideally, data is captured in a way that allows us to provide dynamic and in-depth reporting. We need to be able to dissect this report of funding all the way down to the department and faculty level. This may be accomplished by using data that is already available from our central administration offices. The next core finding explained how the value of the research university serves the general public. Clark Kerr, the former president of the University of California, said, "We are just now perceiving that the university's invisible product, knowledge, may be the most powerful single element in our culture, affecting the rise and fall of professions and social classes, regions, and even nations." The level of public support for academic science and engineering research has fallen. Most of the general public and politicians verbally support higher education and academic research, but do not consider it a priority compared to other needs, as reflected by the problem of inadequate funding. Marketing the value of the research university locally and regionally would play an important role in promoting national innovation and security, but this can't be done without highly credible and performance-based data from neutral sources. Unfortunately, the costs involved to develop and maintain a robust research information and management system is not appreciated or entirely understood. Also, a university's success should not be solely defined by the amount of federal dollars awarded or patents obtained, but instead should be defined by the efficiency and effectiveness of new knowledge and innovations. Those of us in research administration can address this issue by marketing the research our university is doing and how it is impacting our community. We can work with the communications department to promote translational research and clinical trials and what they've done for the greater good through various forms of publicity. This may seem outside of our realm of responsibilities, but in the long run, it may bring funding opportunities to your PIs. And if this is something that you don't have time for, you could at least forward research success story ideas to your communications department or associate dean of research to make them aware of that potential for publicity. Collaborating with industry can teach us to learn how to work smarter and leaner so that we don't rely on an increase of public funding for research as it may never materialize. As we manage our awards, we should be viewing each lab as essentially a small business. Lastly, we need to encourage our faculty review committees to include publications as part of a research faculty's annual review process, rather than just the amount of funding they've received. The last core finding was the lack of appreciation for the fragility of the academic research enterprise. There is a great need for sufficient staffing of competent and professional research administrators. Experienced research administrators reliably enable efficient and effective conduct of research. Too often, institutions that experience a significant problem react by restructuring and adding staff to their research administration programs. These problems may have been avoided altogether if research administration offices were adequately staffed with creative and proactive support staff who fully enable the success of the research faculty. Today's research funding environment is much more competitive, which has caused proposal preparation to become increasingly time-consuming and award management progressively complicated. A dedicated team of research administration professionals has become a required component of today's most successful research universities. This is especially true considering the greater emphasis placed on interdisciplinary research and large, center-sized, multi-institutional proposals. This is great news for research administrators as it secures the need for our jobs. In order to support the recognition of our work as a professional field, we need to continue to improve by seeking out training opportunities and staying informed of current issues affecting our faculty's research environment. We need to be proactive and forward about requesting funds and time to attend professional conferences and pursue educational opportunities and certifications. Let's also remember the foundation of the success of our work is providing high-quality customer service to our faculty. Research is a critical component in the creation of new knowledge, which contributes to every facet of our daily lives. Successful funding of our faculty's research projects is an important way in which this mission can be accomplished. We as research administrators can help our faculty maximize their success by being aware of the issues they face and responding with innovative solutions. We hope this webinar brought to light some ways in which you can improve your processes at your institution. For further information on how you can help your institution thrive in today's research environment, check out the following suggested resources.